What's up YouTube? My name is Will and we are going to do the One Piece chapter 714 review, discussion, and future speculation. So first and foremost, if you like this stuff, please subscribe. If you take a look at the subscribers counter right below, you'll notice that I am pretty brand new to YouTube. In fact, when I'm making this video, I only have 2 subscribers. So as of now, I only have 2. So if you do subscribe, you could have the title of being one of the first to ever subscribe to this channel. Now, I definitely believe this video review quality is going to be up there with quite a lot of the other ones out there right now. And judging by the video length, which I'm sure it's pretty long, because I do tend to talk and give more of a meatier discussion than most of the others, despite me trying to keep it very short. So I definitely think you will gain some new insights from this video. I try and keep it short, sometimes I want to keep it at 5 minutes, but all of a sudden it's a 30-minute video. So definitely subscribe if you like, and here we go. Let's just get started. First and foremost, the chapter's name is Lucy and Usi, which was very surprising. We know Luffy is pretending to be Lucy, but who is Usi? Is this some new force that's come in that just happens to have a very similar name? We do not know yet. So, first and foremost, there will be brief chapter summaries, event summaries. I tend to not do chapter summaries because you've already read the chapter, but this one is actually a very meaty One Piece chapter compared to some of the others. There's a lot of dialogue in it, so I do have to briefly explain some of the parts. So let's start with the initial title page, which shows like a little bit of scenery from what Kuribo's doing. So Kuribo, he's already escaped from the Sea World, and now he sees, like, according to the title description, he stumbled upon his abandoned crew. So this seems like a bad thing from the picture. He seems pretty scared off. The people in his crew from the picture seem pretty scared. Or not scared, angry at him. So that doesn't look good. He's abandoned his crew. He's going to get in more trouble. Let's move on, okay? We came here for the actual chapter. So, play by play, very slowly. There's this big section at the beginning which explains quite a lot. It implies quite a lot if you really think about it. We've learned why there's so many real-life talking toys, potentially. This might be why that toy that is with Franky right now is so secretive and has all these, hidden things about him. Maybe he was not initially a toy. We've learned that there is now a way to turn things into toys. And so the guy who's accompanying Franky right now could potentially be a major character. It seems like he has some sort of fighting capabilities. I'm not saying he will join their crew. Most likely not, but maybe he's not a toy to begin with. He seems very smart, and he has some hidden intentions, but he seems like a good character, like someone who's trustworthy, and will side with the Straw Hats. And so he seems to have some secret knowledge, which he will reveal once they get to those flower fields, and we'll see what happens. But it seems like he might not be actually a toy. In fact, most of the citizens in the village might not actually be toys. They might have been turned into toys and potentially brainwashed. Because if you saw the last chapter, it seems like the whole ordeal with the newspaper thing, the whole newspaper trick, that was pretty darn, it was kind of clever. But the point is that they brainwashed the citizens fairly quickly. It was like, oh, don't worry about it. it was a mistake in the newspaper printing. Do as you're told. And then all the citizens are just like, okay, we'll do as we're told. So I'm assuming there's a little bit of brainwashing going on. Who knows? Anyhow, more importantly, so we see this new Don Quixote member, Jorah, Treble Unit Jorah. Is she one of the 4 people who sat on the chairs back 10 chapters ago? The chairs which represented each of the suits in playing cards. Hearts, spades, diamonds, what's the last one? Clovers. And is this one of these 4 people? More importantly, is the girl that Sanji met, is she one of those 4 people? Because those 4 people seem to be the strongest of the Don Quixote family. We don't know yet. I suspect she is because of her power. We know her power. It's pretty easily implied from this chapter. Again, very little chapter summary. I'm assuming you've read the chapter, so I'm assuming you know what's going on. Essentially, I first saw the panel and I'm like, what is going on? Why do these 4 characters look so weird? And then you figure out that this person, whose name is Jorah, has this devil fruit ability where she can pretty much turn people and objects into like a toy version. And basically what she does is she imagines a distinct image in her mind. Like, I'm assuming if she wants you to become a certain toy, she has to imagine it specifically in her mind. Then it blossoms out, and then she just turns stuff into whatever she imagined. And it has to be some sort of toy. So basically, the 4 of them are trying to protect Sunny, the ship, as well as the samurai kid, Momonosuke. And they're doing a terrible job. The ship has been completely destroyed. Jorah has made it very clear that she wants to keep the ship there so they have no means of escaping. That was her objective employed by the Don Quixote family onto her. So she has done a very good job. She's completely destroyed the ship and made it into some sort of strange toy vessel. But this is what I thought. Judging from the picture, I thought there's still a good chance that ship could be used. In fact, it kind of looks even better. The only problem is the sails are no longer sails. They're like a lot smaller, like cut off into like a toy version that could never possibly sail. But other than that, the ship kind of looks better than it used to. I mean, the Sunny looked kind of crappy. Like the freaking lion head at the front did not look like a real lion. It looked really crappy. But now it looks pretty decent. So potentially maybe it's more saleable. But obviously, then again, there's that panel where we see the insides of the ship being completely turned into like toy monstrosities that are completely inoperable. So we know the ship won't be moving. But again, this brings up a lot of issues. We see that Nami and Brook and Chopper have all been turned into toy versions of themselves, as has Momonosuke. So we are assuming that these guys are... This is why Dressrosa is all toys, because of this woman's devil fruit ability. And on the flip side, just so you guys know, I'm not Japanese, so I apologize if I'm not pronouncing the names properly. So let's move on. I have the chapter right here, so we can do a play-by-play very quickly. I do have to say though, Brook, I do like Brook's toy version of himself. It looks pretty cool. I honestly prefer it. The others look kind of weird. Like, they have like a black line going through their center. So at first I thought, what is going on. Is he cut in? Are they cut in half? But I'm assuming it's just some sort of toy novelty. Anyhow, we go to another part which implies a lot of stuff, and this is key, and a lot of people might not have noticed it. So here we go. Basically, we see this guy, this masked guy again. He has already lost in the tournament, the Coliseum tournament. He was part of a previous division. He somehow survived the entire fight, but he got knocked out of the ring and he didn't win. And we know who won. I think his name was Bartolomeo. He looks kind of like a vampire, but this guy, he has like a gladiator helmet on, you know, black cape, and typical gladiator body with the 8-pack on his chest. And so his fighting style is one-handed samurai fighting style. And there's so many, okay, this chapter, it gives so many implications on what's going on. First off, we know that this is not the typical gladiator fighting style. Most of the time it is shield and sword, as mentioned before. He uses a two-handed sword. And apparently, I think it was mentioned, I can't remember if this is right, but I think it was mentioned that it was a samurai style of fighting, or it was very similar to that. So the thing is he from the samurai world as well? We don't see his face, and in this chapter it's very clear he does not want to show his face. But at the same time, it was also mentioned quite a few chapters ago that this guy has been in the Colosseum at least once long ago. One of the old people, one of the old spectators, like this guy was like at least 60 years old. He mentions in a panel that this guy seems very familiar to another gladiator who used the two-handed sword technique from long ago. So I'm assuming it's the same guy from long ago, and he's somehow come back. Was this the guy who won all his fights as a gladiator? Like, I think it said like he's won hundreds and hundreds of fights in the Colosseum and has been undefeated from, as legend tells us, from long, long ago. Is this the same guy? Most likely not. Why? Because he lost so easily in this fight. Was he the same guy that the old guy mentioned, who he recalled was one of the fighters in the Colosseum from long ago? Again, this is separate from the guy who, you know, went undefeated as a gladiator for hundreds of tournaments. This is a separate guy. And I believe he is the guy from long ago who used the two-handed one-sword technique, who was one of the fighters in the Colosseum. But he was not the gladiator who went undefeated. Why? Because he got owned so quickly. But he has come back, and it reaffirms my proposition because he does a little bit of a flashback. And we see something in the past where he is also, I believe, well, it actually doesn't show him in gladiator form, but I'm assuming it definitely implies he has ties to the Colosseum from long ago. So there's no way he's visiting from the samurai world. At least, I don't think so. So anyhow, he pushes like the health aides aside because they're being so stupid. Like they're like offering their aid, even though the whole point of the fight is kill or be killed. And so he pushes aside all these like doctors trying to heal him because he's critically injured, and he refuses to take off his helmet for treatment. He bumps into the second girl, who is also hiding her identity with her gladiator mask and whatever. And she asks him, you know, well, she just states, you should really get those wounds checked out. He leaves really quickly and then immediately jumps into a flashback. The flashback shows him with a little daughter, and this pretty much almost, like, if you read it, if you go back and read it, it almost 90%, I'm 90% sure this implies that this girl is his daughter. It has to be. Like, judging by how it was spaced, the timing of it, and how the sequence of the flashback went with him bumping into this girl has to be his daughter. So it implies a lot of things. It implies that this guy doesn't know his daughter, the girl doesn't know his father, and a bunch of things. Why he needs this fruit in order to help his daughter, we don't know. He says, "Rebecca, forgive me." And he's walking out of this Colosseum almost in tears. And that implies that he came just to get this fruit. And I'm assuming, like, the only use for the fruit is enhanced fighting power. So I'm assuming he needs enhanced fighting power in order to somehow get his daughter back. Why he can't show himself and why he can't just talk to his daughter who's right in front of him, we don't know. Probably complications with the Don Quixote family, which Luffy will end up sorting out for him. But we don't know. However, it is clear that if this is her daughter, she is not a samurai. Her hair color, her hair form, it's just not samurai. She's blonde, she has smooth hair. That's not the samurai look, the samurai style, the samurai culture. She's definitely not dressed like Momonosuke's father envisioned or mentioned that samurai women should be. He mentions that they should be very humble and, conservative. And this girl is, she's dressed in a freaking mermaid scale bikini with a cape and a gladiator helmet. There's no way she's samurai, which means this guy is not samurai either, despite his two-handed one-sword technique. Next, we move on to the fact that Bellamy, well, he's lost. He lost in the tournament, but he's been given a chance. Joker wants him to kill Luffy, and then he will be redeemed in the family. The key thing to note here is that he, judging by his facial expression and his body language, it doesn't seem like he wants to kill Luffy. So he might have some, sort of hesitation. The thing is, he's part of the Don Quixote family, according to, from what I've told. Please clarify me if I'm wrong, but he seems to be part of this family, this Don Quixote family, so he's most likely going to do it. Maybe he will have some hesitation, maybe he will change his ways, we don't know. But that's his orders, he's a subordinate, he'll have to do it. From there, we move on to the next big scene, which is Bartolomeo, who won the last division tournament. He won very easily. We know his Devil Fruit ability is this sort of shield fruit ability. It's he can create barriers, shields and stuff. And so he converses with I forgot his name, Cavendish. And Cavendish has a huge grudge against Luffy. We all know that. And so he's conversing, and it seems the focus on this scene is very short, but it seems that he's going to help out Cavendish. He mentions that Cavendish, there's no way he can kill Luffy, he doesn't have the fighting capabilities, and he mentions that he and Luffy go way back. Now, I looked up the Wikia on their relationship and Bartolomeo, and it just says that he is a rookie pirate with his own crew. So I'm assuming they might have clashed a little bit back with the whole rookie pirate arc, but other than that, as we know of, according to the Wikia page, there is no stated relationship between the two. But him saying that they go way back means there is probably some other stuff that has not been revealed about these two. So this is most likely, it's implied from his body language and what we've seen with the dialogue that they are going to help each other to take out Luffy, which is not good, but it is what it is. Okay, so moving on from that, we do have the fight, and we have Hadroudin, huge giant. Okay, before we get to Hadroudin, I do have to quickly mention that everyone pretty much knows this is Luffy, not Lucy. The Don Quixote family, they know. They already have it figured out. They knew from the start, that's why they had it out. In fact, it was quite amazing that he obtained this devil fruit after Ace died, and it's very clear now how these devil fruits seem to procure themselves. Basically, if someone with the ability dies, the powers gets transferred to whatever respective fruit it usually resides in, and it goes to the nearest fruit. So if it was a banana and the guy eats it, but then the guy gets killed, the powers will transfer to the nearest banana, and the nearest banana will turn into this devil fruit. We've seen that before. There's a video done on someone who explains this in more detail, King of Lightning. He explains how this is how the fruit are done, and there's plenty of evidence for that. So that's pretty much why, I mean, it makes sense that Joker got this devil fruit from Ace. After Ace died, he probably got his apple and got really close to Ace, and boom, he got the powers in the fruit form again. So, moving on to this last bit with the giant, the king of all giants apparently, who's not even that big. I mean, we've seen just as big, if not bigger, giants. And Hadroudin, or whatever his name is, he gets completely owned by Luffy. Personally, I don't think it's that great. I mean, we've seen giants being owned by people much smaller long ago in One Piece, so not so big, and I'm kind of offended that the audience in the Coliseum got so excited, and everyone was like literally everyone after seeing that was so shocked. They were so shocked that Lucy had the capability of just knocking out this giant with one punch. And I'm like, okay, we've seen that before. That doesn't even show how Luffy's powers have skyrocketed after the time skip. I mean, it's not that big a deal. So I'm kind of disappointed by that. This guy's not even a devil fruit user. He's just a big giant. I mean, there's so many stronger giants in the One Piece world. So I'm not really that enthralled about that, and I'm kind of taken aback that so many pages were used up just on this fight, and it's not even versus a devil fruit user. So it seems like Luffy's going to clean up this division and move on to the next part of the tournament. And it seems everyone knows who Luffy is. In this scene, the guy, let me just quote, he says, "Even when he tries to conceal his true identity, he still gains fans, Straw Hat." And then the girl, who we assume to be Rebecca, says, "Oof, oof, 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 he cracks me up." So she responds immediately, not surprised at all that this guy is Straw Hat. She just says he cracks her up. So obviously she knows he's Luffy as well. So very last thing about this, the one thing I do have to commend about this chapter is Luffy and the bull. It's called the Brutal Bull according to the chapter. The Colosseum's death god, which is an animal owned by the Colosseum, who has also joined this fight in order to clean up people faster. And I just thought this is actually a great burst of character of Luffy, and it's just a little bit more for not exactly character development, but like character embellishment, just to rekindle the fire of what Luffy's personality is like. And we show him it shows like this bull that's just destroying everyone around him, and then we're assuming that this bull is just like wreaking havoc, and Luffy is about to fight this bull. And then we see the next panel, and Luffy is on top of the bull, like cheering, like all happy, and I'm like, that is typical standard Luffy. I'm glad Ichiro Oda, the author, has remembered what kind of person Luffy is. And so very good on him on that part. So in that panel alone, I would give that a 10 out of 10. However, final rating for the entire chapter with everything considered, this is going to require a tiny bit of thought, a little bit of thought. Let me just think. Definitely not a 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. I would say fairly slow chapter. I give it a solid 7.2 out of 10. It was one of those slow chapters that need some work to build up to the big action, fight chapters. So I'd put it at a 7.2 out of 10 compared to what I would consider the 10 out of 10 chapters, which would be the fight with Edward Newgate. Edward Newgate's death. That arc, all those chapters in it, when the pirates fought the Marines, that big fight, that would be considered 10 out of 10. So this week's chapter, One Piece, 7.2 out of 10. Not bad at all. Yeah, I can't. My voice is hoarse from talking so much. I've done so many chapter reviews of different anime so far. Anyhow, see you guys later. Peace. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. And thank you if you watched this whole thing.